The story takes place in medieval Italy, where family honor is the lifeline of every household, and any offense to honor can lead to bloody revenge. The Montague and Capulet families have been enemies for generations, and their deep-seated hatred is ingrained in every member of both families. Romeo, the 17-year-old son of the Montague family, is a passionate and romantic youth filled with dreams of love. Initially, he falls in love with a girl named Rosaline. Rosaline's enchanting beauty and graceful demeanor captivate Romeo, and he falls deeply in love with her. However, fate seems to have a cruel sense of humor, as Rosaline does not reciprocate Romeo's feelings. Her heart remains untouched by him. One sunny day, Rosaline receives an invitation to a Capulet family banquet. Upon hearing this, Romeo is filled with mixed emotions. He longs to see Rosaline again, and is curious about the Capulet family's festivities. Thus, he decides to wear a mask and secretly follow Rosaline into the mysterious and unknown Capulet mansion. As Romeo steps into the lavish banquet hall, he is greeted by a scene of splendor and grandeur. The hall is brightly lit, and Romeo, hidden behind his mask, watches from a corner, his eyes following Rosaline. Suddenly, his gaze is drawn to another figure, Juliet, the 13-year-old daughter of the Capulet family. Her beauty and elegance deeply mesmerize Romeo. The two fall in love at first sight, although, because of Romeo's mask, they do not know each other's true identities. Their hearts, however, are already intertwined. Unable to contain his emotions after the banquet, Romeo bravely climbs over the wall into the Capulet garden that night. He quietly approaches Juliet's window and softly calls her name. Juliet opens her window and sees Romeo standing outside. Under the moonlight, they confess their love for each other and decide to pledge their love in secret. "Dear Juliet, I cannot resist my love for you. Even though our families are sworn enemies, I am willing to give up everything for you," Romeo declares passionately. Juliet, her face glowing with happiness, responds, "Romeo, I love you too. No matter how many obstacles we face, I will stay by your side." Thus, under the moonlight, they vow eternal love to each other and decide to go to the church at dawn to marry under the guidance of the friar. The morning sun shines on the church's roof as Romeo and Juliet, with hearts filled with both anxiety and determination, enter the church. The friar, seeing the young and brave lovers, is filled with emotion. He knows that their love will face many challenges, but decides to perform the wedding ceremony nonetheless. "In the sight of God, you are now husband and wife. May your love remain eternal and unwavering, supporting each other through all hardships," the friar solemnly pronounces. Romeo and Juliet hold each other's hands tightly, their eyes brimming with hope and dreams for the future. However, happiness is fleeting. The very next day, as Romeo and his friend are walking through the streets, they encounter Juliet's hot-tempered cousin, Tybalt. Filled with hatred for the Montagues, Tybalt's anger flares upon seeing Romeo. "Romeo, you Montague scum, how dare you appear before me? I challenge you to a duel," Tybalt shouts. Romeo, aware of the potential for greater conflict, tries to calm Tybalt. "Tybalt, we are now family. I have married Juliet. Can we not put aside our past grievances?" he pleads. But Tybalt refuses to listen and charges at Romeo with his sword. Romeo's friend steps in to protect him, but is tragically killed in the ensuing fight. Consumed by rage and grief over his friend's death, Romeo loses control and kills Tybalt in a fit of vengeance. The duel shocks the city. The prince, angered by the violence and Romeo's actions, decides to banish him. He warns that Romeo will face death if he ever returns. Juliet is devastated by the news of Romeo's banishment. The thought of losing her husband so soon after their marriage plunges her into despair. Why? Why must fate be so cruel to us? Juliet cries out in anguish. Romeo, equally unwilling to leave his beloved wife, heeds the friar's advice and reluctantly departs. Before leaving, they spend one last night together, filled with love and sorrow. Juliet, wait for me. No matter how long it takes, I will return to you, Romeo promises. Romeo, I will wait for you until the day you come back, Juliet vows. But fate continues its relentless course. Shortly after Romeo leaves, Juliet's parents arrange for her to marry a nobleman and plan the wedding for the following Thursday. Desperate and helpless, Juliet seeks the friar's help once more. The friar, filled with sympathy, gives her a potion that will make her appear dead for 42 hours. He promises to send word to Romeo, ensuring he returns before she awakens. With no other choice, Juliet takes the potion the night before her wedding. The next morning, her family finds her seemingly lifeless body, and the wedding turns into a funeral. However, the friar's messenger fails to reach Romeo in time. Upon hearing of Juliet's death, Romeo is devastated and rushes back to Verona. Believing Juliet to be truly dead, he confronts and kills the nobleman guarding her tomb, then enters the tomb himself. Inside the tomb, Romeo kisses Juliet one last time and takes poison, dying by her side. Moments later, Juliet awakens to find Romeo dead. Overwhelmed by grief, she takes his dagger and kills herself, joining him in death. The friar arrives too late, witnessing the tragic end of the lovers. He tells their story to their grieving families, who finally understand the cost of their feud. They agree to end their enmity and erect golden statues in Verona to honor Romeo and Juliet. The golden statues serve as a testament to their undying love and a reminder of the destructive power of hatred. Romeo and Juliet's love, though brief, leaves an everlasting impact, teaching the world about the triumph and tragedy of love. As the book says, these violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fire and powder, which, as they kiss, consume. The intense joy of Romeo and Juliet's love was as fleeting as fireworks, but their story will forever be etched in the hearts of people.